Well, it looks like I'm back. I don't know what happened. Freaking Facebook just kicked me off. I don't know. But anyway, I think I deleted the first one. But anyway, I would just want to continue by saying my Action Sci-Fi Fantasy Film Festival, and like I said, it's coming in 2021. Right now, I'm still. Hey, what's up, Chip? My man. Yeah, just like I said, anyway, I got cut off before, so hopefully my video from the first half is on there, so you can at least see what I said about the Sci-Fi Fantasy Film Festival that I plan to create. Also looking for donations as well to get this going, and including the movie as well. We're always looking for that. To kind of keep this going because it's very expensive. It takes a long time, so the more the merrier, and we can get this thing on a different level, definitely on a different level, and a higher level. All right, so that's like I said, again, my film festival 2021. The lights should be turned on in June or July. I'm looking at to kind of launch it and say, okay, here's the film festival, here's everything, and we're ready to go. I was trying to give you guys an example of where I'm going to be, but it looks like I can't drop any images on here, so not much I can really do. So yeah, well, here I am again. All right, I guess I lost some people on here, but that's okay. That's all right. It's going to be recorded, so you can look at it later. Look at me now. I appreciate those that come back and look at me. I appreciate you listening to my stories and all that good stuff, and updates on what I'm doing. So thank you very much. All right, so let's, as you know, I'm an action sci-fi fantasy filmmaker. That's my thing. That's what I love to do. I just get excited about it. My blood boils all the time, just wanting to do these type of things, and I have. Obviously, with the posters behind me, I'm continuing my story. And I want to talk about like action filmmaking and what makes a really good action movie, precautions, ideas, chances that you should take when doing an action film. So it's one of those things where, if you do an action film, it's great, it's fun. But there's a lot of things you have to kind of consider, especially if you do an indie one. If you do an indie one, first thing people think about, wow, if it's action, it's going to have people running around and everything, then you probably need insurance. And it's true. You can get insurance for a day. There's ways to get insurance. It's not a problem. You can do that. But just getting into the weeds of that side is a whole other story, and that's fine. But action filmmaking to me, if you want to do that and you're into it, that's awesome. But what you want to do also too is to make sure you have a story itself that even if you didn't have action, people would still watch it. I think that is the one thing that really makes a good action movie work, is a good story. You shouldn't need action in your story in order to make it exciting. But when you do add the action, that now puts it to a whole new level. And that what makes it a spectacle. That's what makes it exciting. That's what makes it great. There's one of the elements that you see the Marvel movie has. It's not about just flying capes and stuff and people kicking, in astronomical ways. It's really about the story itself. It's about the characters' relationships with each other. It's the journey that everyone is taking. And it's all about not even the action, but it's all about everything in between the action. Because if you don't have a solid glue of character development, a solid glue of character relations with each other, then when the action comes, it doesn't matter. But when the action does come, that really kind of gives it that lift. It lifts it to another level when the action comes, because now all of that stuff means a lot. It's not just people kicking in the air, running around, shooting. Everything they're doing, it's a means to an end, and it kind of heightens the drama of the story. And one thing that I love about action filmmaking or action movies, for example, even sci-fi fantasy, of course, is that that is one genre that you can encompass every other genre in it. Unlike the other dramas, the other genres you don't, but sci-fi can't. Action can. Think of it. So sci-fi and fantasy, you can put in a romantic comedy part in there if you want to. Of course, you put the drama into it. Or if you want to give it a documentary style of filmmaking, you can do that. You can put all that in one into a sci-fi, fantasy, even action film. You can't do that too much in the others, because once you do that, it goes right back to a category of sci-fi or fantasy or even the action movie. So you got to be careful with that. But with sci-fi, fantasy, even with action films, especially sci-fi, fantasy, you can really put all the elements, all the other genres into your story. I mean, it's just incredible. It's almost like the MacBook of genres. You know what I mean? It's like, Mac can also accept other OSs, but Windows can't accept any other OS. I want to be the Mac. I want to be able to incorporate other genres into my story. And sci-fi, fantasy gives you that outlet. It gives you that room to add all of that. And to tell you the truth, you really would need all of those as well to make a solid story, to make people want to see it, to make people give a shit about what you have, right? I mean, that's all about. It's getting eyes on there. People listening to what you're trying to tell them. They want to experience the story that you're trying to tell. So it all comes out to get encompassing all of the other genres into your genre to make it solid and whole. So that's why sci-fi, fantasy is one of those genres that's not just about people with funny makeup on and capes running around kicking and shooting. It's about encompassing all the other genres into it to make one solid film. Because when you think of it, if I was to do a drama, I'm not throwing hobbits and people with laser beams coming out their eyes. I'm not doing that. I'm doing a drama. I'm doing this. I'm doing documentary. I'm doing a documentary. If I'm doing a rom-com, I'm doing a romantic comedy. But when you do a sci-fi, fantasy, now I can throw all those others in there and it will make sense. The others, I can't make sense. So that's what I love about sci-fi, fantasy so much, because it just brings you to not only just another world, but it also brings the other genres into it. And you can have fun with it and it will work. And actually, a lot of times they need it to work. So it's great. But to go back a little bit to the action filmmaking, like I was saying, to get into that realm of like what to do or how to make it work, my idea of making it work, like I said before, is a good solid story, something that you really give a shit about, that people say, hey, even if it wasn't action, I'll watch it. But it's also too about the action part. You have to make it in a way where when people start fighting, they think the secret is not to make it look like, I mean, I can't say you can't. I mean, you can if you want to make it look like it's been like it's a show, like it's a rehearsal, or is it like like you can tell it's almost planned. Some people may do it purposely, but if you're trying to make a moment, I think the best. All right, let me rewind. Let me go back for a second. Blah, blah, blah. All right. If you want to make a really good action film, the way I see it is to try to make those action moments. If you're making a fighting scene, is to make it as if everything's reactionary and not planned. I try my best myself too to make sure that all those action moments that you put into it doesn't look like we rehearsed it. A real fight always looks reactionary. That's what makes like John Wick work so well. That's what makes a lot of the really good action film work, because it doesn't look like it's a show, like you're on stage and you have to kind of fill in about a minute and a half of just some type of choreography. You say, this is what the character does, this is our skill set, and this is what we're going to do, and this is how we go about, our mission or our performance. So the first thing you want to do if you're doing an action film is to make sure that the movements that you're doing don't look as if you're on stage or you're doing some type of show. You want to make it as if whatever's happening in that moment, every movement between both actors is reactionary and not something that they look like they know it's coming. Now, that's the magic of it, So then that's when you get into the whole part of now you got to put heart into it. You got to put a little drama in between those hits and swings and kicks. You don't want to be too corny unless that's your intention. But I'm just saying, overall, you want to make it just in a way where, if they are fighting, they're not talking too much. You know, you don't want to make it like it's some type of 60s show. But at the same time, you want to educate the viewer about exactly what's happening in between those fights. So sometimes you may have to get a little corny, and that's fine. I think people accept that. Maybe put in some type of as matter of fact lingo in between the fights. You know, you can try to, check that, maybe try to add that in there, because I know I do it in mine. It's like some things will need to be said, but sometimes I have to say it because there's some things that are just a little too confusing that I have to throw something in there for the audience to understand a little bit. Sometimes, but when you do an action film, like I said, it's all about the movement. It's all about the reality of everything. And then too, the story itself, has to be something that requires an action. Like it requires some type of, spectacle or something. Example, if you're going for a sci-fi fantasy, obviously, you're going to have some laser beams, or you're going to have dragons running around, which is really, really cool. But, just like George Lucas said years ago, a movie with no story and a lot of action is a very boring viewing experience. And you want to make your viewing experience for everybody that watches your stuff exciting. Also, too, camera movements. Camera movements, we all understand where I'm going with this, right? Back in the 90s, even all the way to the mid 2000s or whatever, and you still see it every now and then too, the camera movements sometimes are so fast, right, you can't see. You don't know what's going on. And they do that purposely to kind of keep the senses heightened. But a lot of times we get upset because we can't see what the fuck is going on. Like who did what? You don't know who got hit until someone falls. You go, okay, that guy got hit. But you didn't know it was leading to that person getting his ass whooped. And then they fall, and you go, that's the one that was getting his ass whooped. I think the best way to do is like kind of pull back sometimes on the cutting. Like you want it to cut, you want it to move. You know what I mean? You don't want the camera just sitting there and just following you. Maybe for moments to kind of give it that realism, that kind of surreal, like as if you're right in the middle of something that you shouldn't be watching. You kind of give it that moment of just the camera kind of sitting there and following what's going on with no cuts, but you have to be strategic with that. I think everything else you do want to have some cuts here and there, but don't be convoluted with it, where there's so many cuts we can't tell what's happening. The camera's on top of you so much that you can't see who's throwing what. You do at times want the camera to be a little close to the action because it gives that kinetic pace. There's an art to that. So you want to do that every now and then. Put the camera close to fist or someone's shoulder or something like that, so you can see the fist come close to the face or whatever. Spinning the camera around maybe for a moment of people fighting this and that and the other, maybe doing a few of the throws or whatever, to kind of give it a kinetic pace, and then you want to pull away just for a moment, just to show maybe a complex move that maybe you rehearsed. So you want to pull the camera back a little bit to show that for a moment, and then right after that moment is done, you go right back into it. I think a lot of the indie action films that I've seen, obviously not all of them, but some of them I've seen, to me, makes the mistake. This is just a me thing, all right? This is just my taste. I'm just saying that I think, to me, that a lot of it looks rehearsed, like as if they've been sitting in front of a mirror, or they've been someplace and been rehearsing this for so long. So the camera would sit there and just follow them. And I've seen plenty of guys, plenty of stuff that their movements, they're professional fighters. You can tell these guys are professional martial artists, just professional fighters, and they look great. Everything is swift and fast and cool. But then, to me, it takes yourself out of it, because now it looks like you're looking at some stage performance, as if you could see they're performing this. It's like, it kind of, to me, sometimes takes you out of the film, of the story itself. Because if someone's fighting because for a reason and stuff, they're not going in knowing what's going to happen. They're going in to defend themselves, or react to what's going on, or they're going to be the protagonist going after the person, and the antagonist is just trying to kind of figure out what's going to happen and doing their best to defend themselves and survive the moment. You want to give those aspects for every moment. instead of just sitting there looking like it's just a really cool choreographed fight. I think it's a lot of times that takes you out of it because now it looks like you're looking at two movies or two situations. It's not about the story anymore. Now it's about these people doing this acrobatic, movement. So I think that's one thing you want to get out, get out the way. Make sure that doesn't work too well. Also, too, I think the best thing for action filmmaking is, of course, is dialogue. I think the action films and sci-fi fantasy films, when it comes to dialogue, you can get away with things. You can get a little corny. You can get a little as a matter of fact type of deal. Um, but at the same time, you still want it to be as solid as you possibly can. And sometimes you have to explain a little more than you would maybe a normal drama or something like that, because things are going pretty fast. So you throw dialogue out there that probably doesn't need to be there. It's kind of those things like it's kind of obvious why you throw it out there, but you sometimes have to, because in an action film, a lot of time things are moving pretty fast. And, so sometimes you have to explain. But then also, too, remember this. Now, this is one of the big ones about action filmmaking. If you're going to be an action filmmaker, you should make the action really pretty much explain itself without even a person saying a word. Now, that means that, you can have people run into places, pick up certain things, be in an environment doing something that would just tell a viewer right away, if they came in the middle of it, almost get an idea of like who's bad, who's good, where they are, and probably why they're fighting to an extent, So you want to make the moment of the fight, or the spectacle, or whatever, kind of explain itself without anyone saying a word. That to me is an art form. That's something that, it's not the easiest thing to do, because everything leads up from dialogue, then the situation, and then, of course, in the action movies, and then it's going to be the confrontation. But if you can skip, say, you know what, I'm just going to go to a moment, and then we're going to go straight into a confrontation. But what's going to explain the confrontation is everything around them. Like that is going to be the storyboard. Like that storyboard, that's going to be the dialogue. Pretty much is the environment in which they're in, and then the motions and things they're picking up or moving can just give you a good idea of what's happening. So that's an art form in itself. I think there's something to think about as well when you do an action film. Also, too, if you want to be real corny in some films, then so be it, because that could be the reason for the film. That's like the arc of the film, and that's the taste of the film, and that's fine, because that's what it's meant to be. If you want to be serious, be serious. I'm not into like action films like that. They not show where they want to go, meaning that they, like, for example, it's like a serious one, and then they kind of throw a little comedy moments in there or whatever. And to me, it just feels forced. It's like, what's the point? Like if I was in a situation, there's nothing funny about anything. I know sometimes you want to lighten things up at a moment that to be so serious, but I'm like, if people coming in to see a serious action film, they pretty much are ready to see that. If they want to see slapstick, they're going to go someplace and look at the trailer and go, oh, this is pretty slapstickish. I want to see the slapstickish. But if you want to come in and you want to see John Wick, you're not waiting for, comedy. You're not looking forward to comedy. You want to see some ass kicking. You want to see some fighting. You want to see a spectacle. You want to see excitement, and that's what they give you. Like, for example, so I think a lot of times we just have to now, if you put a little levity into it here and there, that's fine. But I think if you do a serious action film, the levity has to be a minimum. Like it has to be there, and that's cool and that works, but you can't make it overly, like someone making, a cornball remark, like an over the top remark that you will put into a more lighthearted action film. I think you got to stay away from that. I think the art of actually putting levity into a serious film is making it a moment that no one feels is funny, but it comes out funny accidentally. Like it's almost not even meant to be that way, but it is, and it's fine, and it works, and allows you to giggle or laugh or smile, and you don't feel bad about it. So those moments are absolutely perfect for serious, high energy action films, science fiction, or fantasy genre. I mean, fantasy content. If you're serious. Now, of course, if you have a little lighthearted and it's supposed to have a more comedy than anything else in between everything, then so be it. That's what it is. But I always say, try to just kind of, I always like to say, either you're this or that, but each one always has a little bit of something. You know what I mean? Like each one has a little bit of something in it, a little levity, maybe it's a little bit, maybe, but you just have to understand the balance of it. And then remember, and also too, when it comes to that, that also winds into rhythm and pace. Now, I always spoke about rhythm and pace with all movies. Doesn't matter what genre it is, right? There's a pace, there's a rhythm to it. When it comes to action films, that is very, very vital. Like I think the best action films are directors or really directors who just have a musical beat in their soul, that has rhythm in their soul. Because when they have real rhythm in their soul, whoever does the directing, and you have a rhythm. I mean, a physical rhythm, in your head, everything is a beat, everything is a music to it, then you can see that in your story. You will see that in the fighting, you see that in the camera work technique behind that, you will see in the lenses they're using, you will see in how everyone is acting, there's always a rhythm to it. And when it comes to action films, if any genre is vital about having rhythm and pace, is action. Sci-fi or fantasy, like those things, I cannot express how important that is, because there are so many films I'm quite sure you've seen out there that just, they're fantasy and they're cool, but they're very dry and they're very just one layered. It's like there's nothing cool about the characters, or there's nothing cool about the fight scenes. They're very stale. It's just probably like, swing, swing, kick, cut, throw a blast, bang, they're dead. Oh boy, it's too dry. When you have someone who has rhythm and pace and understands how things move, one good example of all his stuff is is my man James Cameron. I mean, you look at his stuff is almost like this kind of steady pace, but it has a rhythm to it. There's a coolness into everything that he's providing. It's solid, it's tight, it's not being overly fancy, but there's a rhythm to it. And that rhythm we all gravitate to, so when you do yours, you think about like, okay, you know what? If I made this, I'm looking at it. Am I getting a beat to it? Is there a beat to the punches and the rhythm and the pace? Is there something groovy about this? Is there something with some feel? You know what I mean? So, and in most movies that have that are just great. I mean, one of my favorite directors, Robert Rodriguez, he's a big example of knowing pace and rhythm. Why? Because he is a musician anyway. He's a guitarist, he's an accomplished guitarist anyway. So all his stories have a rhythm and pace. And when you listen to it, the sound, the cutting in between, the movements, everything has like a rhythm, has a music. Click, 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 doom, and we all can relate to rhythm and pace, especially rhythm and music. We all can relate to that. And when you insert that into your action film, that film is going to really pull people in a lot, even if it's something behind their head. It's like they know it's music in there and they can hear it. I mean, sometimes they may not know why they're kind of going into it. Like, whoa, man, it's something about this, because there's a rhythm in it, it's music behind it. So I think that's really one of the big things about that. So about action filmmaking. Yeah, that's pretty much it, what I want to say about that. The next thing I wanted to bring up is called Don't Wait. And I'm going to have a piece of this don't wait type of, I guess, moment in my film festival that I'm going to probably call it, no budget, no problem. And meaning that if you have something that you want to do and you have a story, if you don't have like the money, especially when it comes to the money, and you don't have all the equipment, don't wait. Just get it out there. Doesn't matter how big or how big it's going to look. or maybe how campy it may feel. It's the fact that you have done it and you finished it and you actually produced a story. Like your story's out there. So I always say, let your work speak for you and you keep moving ahead. Like, don't wait. People are always going to want you to wait. You know why? Because they don't want you to do it. Envy, people is envy, people are envious out there. They really are, but you as a creator, you that want to do something, you just fucking get your damn camera and get your ass out there and start fucking filming. If you're a producer and you want to get something done, then you go out there in the fucking road, you get down the street, you go on Facebook, however you're going to communicate with somebody, and you go into a director and say, hey, listen, I want to produce something. Hey, let's get down. Let's talk. Go through the process. Get it done. Do not wait for anyone. There is no reason. There are so many avenues now to get your material viewed by so many people. There's no reason why you can't get your stuff done. And when you get your stuff done, then you throw it out there. Yeah, people are going to say what they're going to say. You can't stop people from, killing you or, just kind of murdering what you're doing. There's not much you can really do. But what you can do is finish your material and have it out there for the world to see. It's more than they did. Critics are going to be critics because they can't make anything. That's how we look at it, right? So you know why you're a critic? Because you can't make anything. That's why you critique. Us filmmakers, us creators, we don't critique more than we make. We create, we build, and we move on to the next. And we build and we move on to the next. That's what we do. And whatever you want to do with the material that we made, that's on you. But one thing that enlightens us, the thing that feeds us and keeps us alive, is creativity and completing our tasks. That is all we need, and that what keeps us going. And we're hoping that those who appreciate the work that we do, appreciate the work that we do. The others that don't like the work that we do, there's not much we can do. They just don't like it, But one thing no one can take away from you is what you've done, what you completed. That's why you don't wait for anyone. You just do it, no matter what. If someone doesn't want to be involved, it's their loss. You're still doing it. They're not, okay? And if they are, let them go their own path. We'll meet each other in Hollywood. That's what we say, that whatever. But one thing is that you don't wait. You get out there, you make a movie. You're an actor. You're an actor? You get out there, you start acting. Stop waiting for the freaking classes all the time, okay? Class is just a big hustle, baby, trust me. Either you have it or you don't. You want to get inspired? You go to a class or you really want to get inspired? Speak to other actors. That's your inspiration, not a class. Speak to other actors. Speak to your peers. Talk to each other. That's your inspiration because you guys are all in the same realm. And then experience is you're actually getting on the set, getting out there. Don't wait. Don't never say, I don't have the money. Money is the lamest excuse in the world. You're going to need some of it, a little, but you're not going to need a whole lot. We're not talking about a couple $100,000. Get your phone, get your DSLR, just get something. Go to Best Buy, open up a credit for like $300. Get yourself a DSLR. Get a microphone for like $50 on B&H. Get that together, plug it in. Get your SD card, and that's it. And now you're a cameraman and you're a director and you're a producer, just like that. Because now you need to film whatever you need to film and you have the equipment. Just do it. And then from there, you just progress. You rise up, baby. You just keep rising up. You learn as you keep going. That's it. Don't be waiting for anybody. There's no reason for you to wait for anybody to do anything. Not nowadays. You just do it. Some people may say, yeah, I don't want it to look campy. I want it to have that nice film look. I want that depth and everything. I'm like, listen, if you keep waiting, it'll probably never happen. You will get there. People will notice. Those that need to like it will like it. Those who need to hate it will hate it. It's not much you can do about that. Only you can do is continue what you're made to do. If you're an actor, you act. You're a director, you direct. You're a producer, such and so forth. You're a costume designer, you freaking do costumes. If you love music, you make music. You're a composer. You fucking compose. Go out there. I'm a composer. I make music. I'm a seamstress. I can make costumes. Hey, you need something? I do. For like minimum money. I just want to get myself out there. You know what I mean? I don't want to keep waiting. Understand, guys. We're not going to be on this planet forever. To get a little morbid, we're all going to die. We're all getting older, and there's no reason to wait. We don't have time to wait. So always think about that. That no matter how much excuses you give yourself, you're this much closer to not being here anymore. So you need to leave some kind of a legacy, something for yourself. Complete something. Whatever you want to do, you fucking go out there and you do it. You don't want to be a waste of life. You just don't. You want to contribute something to the world, to yourself, to your name, to your family, but contribute nonetheless. And if you're an artist, that is what you're meant to do. Get out there and do your art. Don't wait for anybody. Find a way, however you can. Don't worry about how campy something may look. Don't worry about how bad the sound may sound. And don't concern yourself about how bad your acting may be. You know what the hardest thing to do out of any of this is? Not those things. The hardest thing is to complete it. That is the hardest thing to do in this business, to complete anything the way, as much as with the resources that you have, the best that you can do. That's the hardest thing. Everything else you can work out. Everything else you can take your time on and build on and try to get it right or whatever. But out of all that, the hardest thing is to complete the bitch. So that is why when I do my film festival, it's about you. It's about the creators. It's about showing the world, yo, I completed this. I did it. With what I had, I did what I could, and this is what I have, because this is what I meant to do. That is what I am going to put into my festival. That is what I am going to express about every one of you. It's coming. The train has left the station. Trust me when I tell you this, guys. I said the same thing when I created these. No one said anything. They didn't know what to expect. Next thing you know, 5 episodes, 6 episodes, 7 episodes, 7 episodes are coming. And it's on its way. With the resources that we had, with a group of people, an incredible group of people that I've been blessed to be around and have met, we did it. We did it. You know why? Because we weren't waiting. We don't worry about how campy something may look. Let's get it done. So that's just me on my soapbox about that, because I hate when, I don't like people always kind of saying they're going to do something they don't. That's why when you complete something, that's huge. No one can take that away from you. When it's completed, when it's done, I'm like, yo, it's done, wrap, throw it out there. That's big. A lot of people don't even do that. So just be thankful that if you do that, that you're one of those people who complete shit. You know what I mean? So, like I said, so I'm going to do is I'm probably going to throw some images out there of the place where I'm going to have the film festival, where I plan to have the film festival. And I'm hoping that everything goes all right. I'm really looking forward. I'm crossing my fingers that when I do speak to everybody at the Manatee, Sarasota, was it Manatee, Sarasota? No, I mean the Manatee Performing Arts Center. I'm getting everything confused. I'm getting tired of you guys. But Manatee Performing Arts Center. If I can get that right, and we can get to like a nice agreement, which I think we can. People there are great. We get to that, then I have my place for the film festival. That's all I need. Once I get that place, then I can start everything else. I already have my illustrating working on the poster and the images. We're also working on our trophies, getting that done. And we're going to have original trophies. So we're going to create those from scratch. And so you're going to get originals, no copies, all originals. So when you get a trophy from me, I made it. We made it. Can't get anywhere else. So it's going to be awesome. Can't wait. So the Gaines Con is coming, guys. This is the real deal. When I say I'm going to do something, it will happen. However it's going to happen, this will happen. And I'm always looking for, so if you want more information, let me know. We're always looking for donations. We're always looking for investors. We're always looking for people who want to be involved to help us grow, not only for the film, but also for this film festival. So it's something new. No, it's not new, but it's something special. It's something big, and we're going to do things a little different than the others. We're going to make it our own. People, when come to GainsCon, they're going to know, oh, GainsCon gives you this. GainsCon gives you this that the others don't. They give you opportunity to speak. Oh, they give you actually a chance to play your music from your movie. Oh, they do have, and also, costume contests like the other cons do, and they give away prizes. Oh, and the winners do get a distribution contract, really, that can get them on what? Amazon and Google Play and iTunes and possibly Hulu and Netflix. Wow, this place really can get me somewhere like that. And I'm like, you know what, guys? Yes, I can, and yes, I will. It's coming. So this is the real deal. And I'm gonna do my first one. I'm gonna go through my process of pain, but it's all about the gain out of all this. So let me see what I did there with the gains. Anyway, corny, I know. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching my show tonight, hearing me talk about things and about my updates and all that stuff, and my opinion on action filmmaking. I know that was probably quick, kind of generalized, but that's my take. I'll probably speak more about it later in the future, get into more specific on like the best equipment to use, movements to kind of be considered, how to throw punches, how to edit a fight scene, the tricks of it to make it look faster or make it look more kinetic than it really is, angles to kind of work on, and how you can get away with things on certain angles. So all that good stuff, I'll get into much more later. But right now, I just want to go over a few things with you guys and share with you guys, and I will be back maybe tomorrow or next week sometime. And if I don't come back for a little while, I want you all to have a happy holiday. And I'll keep everybody abreast about where we are with our production on, as well as the film festival. So anyway, love you guys, and I will see you guys later. Peace.